And we're on. Chewy,
Sir,
how are you?
good. How are you?
Good. So we want to call you, bro. Chewy, Jesus, Jesse.
I have different names depending on
Yeah.
who's addressing me. My mother has never called me by my name.
No. What should she call you?
Most of my family calls me Chuyito.
Chuyito? We won't call you Chuyito.
But the thing is like,
yeah.
I don't mind. It's like, me lo hacen de cariño. So,
Yeah.
But
well.
the friends they'll go with Chewy, or there's a Jesse here and there.
Yeah.
It just depends on who it is.
Cool.
And how comfortable they feel with addressing me
That's Chewy.
as Chewy.
That's Chewy or Jesse.
Yeah.
I think for both. I use both. I think with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on how mad you are.
Yeah. I'm always mad at you, bro.
You haven't called me, Jesus.
Thanks for coming, bro.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be on the what we calling this, VCast.
I don't know. You know what? It's a VCast, a video cast. They have a bunch of different names for them. I just put podcast, but I should maybe call it VCast.
Podcast
so like all audio.
Apple, right?
Yeah.
I think that's where that term came from. I'm not sure, but
I think they're still trying to determine. I think since it's something new. Yeah, well, not new, but it's something that's barely. There's so many different ways of doing it now that there's no like correct term. I think because I've seen different people use different ways, but eventually I want to make it a podcast where because they're all video, so I want to take out the audio and then start putting them out as podcasts. But I barely got the audio to sound right, so now I can.
it takes time.
Yeah, it takes time, dude. It's like everything, bro. You know how it is.
Yes, sir.
You learn little by little.
Yeah.
Y así se le lleva uno.
It's trial and error.
Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, let's
tradition here.
Yes.
As I had explained earlier, I'm not much of a whiskey drinker.
All right.
About the only whiskey I touch is Jameson.
Jameson?
And I do shots of that because it's quick.
Do you do pickleback juice with it?
No.
Have you ever tried that?
You know who used to get me to drink Jameson a lot was Karina.
Yeah.
May she rest in peace. It's been a year, man. So every time I find myself in a bar, I'll ask for a JMO. As a matter of fact, I was in Europe last month and walk into a bar and I asked for some Jameson and the guy's like, "Oh, well, we don't have any here. I'll go to the other bar." So he grabs it, and while I'm waiting for them to come back with the Jameson, I'm telling the guy behind the bar, I'm like, "I hate Jameson." He's like, "Well, why'd you ask for it then?" Yeah. So then I went into the whole story that every time I was out with Karina would
make you take Jameson.
I had to take it. I can't say no.
Yeah.
So that's the only whiskey I'll.
Yeah. Try with pickle juice, dude. The pickleback.
We'll try that.
It's good, bro. Yeah. If you have to take it, it sounds weird, but once you take it, it's pretty good. And then you're gonna like it, and then you're gonna take too many one day. Vas a tener una cruda the next day. Yeah, and then you're gonna be like, dude, you should never showed me that. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So you're pouring. I'm pouring.
Yeah. Or let me get. I'll take the bottle, bro. Pour.
Got a bottle of Woodford Reserve.
And you got yourself a 40.
That actually was a gift to me from one of my customers.
Okay.
And I just never drank it. I tried it once, and I'm just like, nah.
I've never tried this.
I'll stick to beer.
Let me try this.
My actual drink of choice, I figured it out. That I liked it was this raspberry tasting like vodka by Ciroc. I think it's Ciroc Red Berry. I was in Detroit.
Yeah.
On business, and I went down to the hotel bar.
Yeah.
And, hotel bars are very generic. They don't really have much.
Yeah.
And I had asked the guy to make me like some kind of raspberry lemonade and vodka. And he's like, "Well, we don't have any lemonade right now."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, well, damn." So I'm like, you know what?
Salud.
The coronavirus. Ooh. So I was gonna leave. Forget it. I don't want anything then. And then he goes, wait. He goes in the back in the kitchen, gets some lemons, and he made me freshly squeezed lemonade.
Yeah.
With the Ciroc Red Berry.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I had to crawl back up to the hotel room because I stayed there all night drinking those it was great. So when I got back home, I actually went and got me a bottle, and that was my drink for a while.
That's your drink for a while?
Oh, yeah.
I had one of my guys on the George Flores. He's a loan officer, and he brought tequila with coconut water and like a splash of Topo Chico. Dude, it was good, man. Like, that's my new drink. Like, that's my new drink right now.
Oh, man. Yeah. Try that out.
But yeah, dude, when you have a good bartender, bro. I remember one time I was in Vegas, and we were having it was a Sunday. We wanted a michelada, and we walked up to the bar. I forgot what casino it was, and the guy's like, he's like, do you have micheladas? And he's like, yeah. He goes, yeah, no. He goes, I can make you some though. He goes, I'll make it. He goes, I think I have everything to make it. And then I look at it, and I was thinking, like, man, like, he's not gonna have the right stuff to make it or whatever. Dude, he starts taking all this stuff. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, man, this is gonna taste horrible. Dude, it was probably one of the best micheladas I've ever had. And he literally just, like, he made everything, he made everything fresh. You know what I mean? Like, he had no other choice, but that's how he did it. And yeah, the whole...
it's when you least expect it.
Yeah.
Because being Vegas, it's like, no one's going to take the extra mile for you. They're just going to give you what they got. And if you don't like it, go to the next bar, because they got so many people to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was expecting, too. Like, you know, this Detroit hotel, it was like a hotel casino. It was the Motor City Inn.
Yeah.
So, and this guy didn't look like real amused that I was asking for some like special stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But he went the extra mile.
Yeah.
So it's when you least expect it, you find the good stuff. So.
That day we were watching football. I stayed there the whole day watching football and just drinking that guy's micheladas. They were awesome, bro. Tell everybody who you are and what you do today? Right now.
Who am I? Let's see. Damn, that's a loaded question.
Yeah. Or what's your name and what do you do for a living?
My name.
Yes.
My birth given name is Jesus Carrillo, which is why people call me Chewy or Jesse or Junior. My father's also Jesus. So, the oldest of two boys. I currently run an information technology consulting firm.
Okay.
It's been going since 2017, I'd say.
Yeah. How did you? Well, we'll get to that. How you got into that? Because I'm really interested in that. What services do you offer them?
Basically, managed services, things that companies, smaller companies, where they want IT help, but they want that big corporation type of IT help. Instead of just a normal IT guy, that they have, or a guy they know that comes in and does work.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna say it. I was that guy. I used to be just a normal person that would come and help, with your IT stuff at a small business. But then I disappear because I have a full-time job. Or, well, what we do is we're there for those smaller companies that are growing, or that are at they're at a steady pace. They want something more reliable.
Right.
We provide, high quality information technology support and management for at the little company price.
Mm-hmm.
We are a little bit pricey, but it's one of those things where you just you don't mind paying it because it gives you peace of mind. You don't have to worry about anything.
Right.
When I started this, I wanted to make sure that we did everything differently than, the companies that are out there. I haven't advertised. I haven't, every customer that I have currently right now has been word of mouth.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, even our website's not even complete.
Yeah.
So, and when people ask, I'm like, well, I don't have time for that. I got problems to fix and, customers to keep happy.
Yeah.
And they still sign with us, and it's because of the referrals that we get, and these are big names,
right?
Big companies that you would never think, you would get as a small consulting firm, but
right.
They come around, and because they know what you're capable of, and that we'll get it done, basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, bro, let's start from the beginning.
To that.
Yeah, let's start from where were you born and where did you grow up and stuff?
I was born in the hood, man. On Ogden in California, over at Mount Sinai.
And
Not sure how that all worked. I never really asked, why they chose that hospital or what, but I mean, that's probably a place where you go if you get shot,
Yeah.
I don't know about, giving birth at Mount Sinai. But.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you a quick story about Mount Sinai. So my sister, her youngest daughter was born at Mount Sinai. So she was a preemie baby. But Mount Sinai, due to the neighborhood that they're in and everything else, has some of the best, or is known as one of the nation's best hospitals for premature births, due to I guess, like the drug addicts and stuff like that come in there and have had babies like that. So Mount Sinai is, even though it's not in the greatest neighborhood, and you never know, bro. Maybe back then it wasn't as bad as it is, or as it was for a while, because it's changing a lot around there, dude.
Things have changed.
It's changed a lot. The movie studio now has shut down some of those streets. The houses are really nice now. Yeah, I could tell you stories for days about that neighborhood. I'm sure you can too. But yeah, Mount Sinai is not as bad as everybody thinks it is. It's a nice hospital.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably one of the places you want to go if you do get shot.
Yeah.
They see it so much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was born at Mount Sinai, grew up in the western part of Gage Park.
Okay.
Closer to 52nd and Whipple.
Okay.
I was there till I was 5.
Yeah.
And then my father ended up buying a building, or he might have had it. I don't know exactly how he got it or when he got it, but I know that we eventually moved to the building that he owned. It was on 53rd and Tallman.
Okay.
And we stayed there for many, many years.
Yeah.
So, and looking back, you look at those years, like, man, things have changed so much in that area.
How was it back then?
There was parking.
Yeah, that's a big one, dude.
There was parking.
Yeah.
And I tell my daughter, every time I go over to, my parents' house, like, man, back in the day, you'd find parking here everywhere, and you know how us Hispanics are. When the Hispanic starts moving in, everybody has 2 cars.
Yeah, and they don't use the garage.
No, the garage is storage.
Yeah, storage and the party room.
And yeah.
Yeah, dude. I remember there's the pictures of us like in Summit and in front of my grandparents' house, because I grew up right next to my grandparents. That's where my parents lived. So it was my parents' house and then my grandparents' house, and you see pictures, or you see like old movie videos, and there's literally like 1 or 2 cars parked on the street. Nobody had cars in front of the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a crazy way to look at it, but like, man, and back then we were able to ride our bikes, without a worry in the world.
Ride your bikes, play ball on the alley in the street.
We broke some windows, all the stuff that kids should be doing. We were able to do it on 52nd and Whipple, without a problem. And even by my other house, we would go over to that Nightingale grammar school that was there. It's still there, but they ended up building all these expansions now. So they used to have this huge lot.
Yeah.
And we played like fast pitch, where you pitch like a rubber ball into the box. And
yeah.
You go there and play, And then little by little, it's just the gang territory, just got, I don't know if it expanded or that, they recruited more gang members. It was just, it became a place that you just didn't want to be outside.
Yeah. Was it, what was the neighborhood predominantly back then?
When we first moved in, it was like Slovakian, a little Polish here and there, and then little by little we took over.
Yeah.
And I say we because I was part of that movement.
Yeah, you were the
unwillingly, but I was born into the neighborhood. But
yeah.
But it was a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
We did see things like a lot of the people that I grew up with are either dead or in jail.
Yeah.
Only a few of them made it out.
Yeah.
And luckily for me, I was no angel. I'll be the first to admit. And even on the way here, I was thinking, like, man, no one really gave my parents the credit for dealing with the way, with me.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't easy to deal with. I I was trying to grow up faster than I was supposed to.
Right.
And I guess part of that was I was a little guy, and no one. Every time I would tell people stories about things, and they think I was just making stuff up, and at some point I just gave up, and the fitting in thing just wasn't going for me, so I just went and did my own thing. I marched to the beat of my own drummer. Didn't help out very much in school.
No.
I was a straight D student.
Yeah.
I was dealt some blows that probably shouldn't have been dealt. Just the public school system.
Where did you go to grammar school?
Well, now that you ask, I started preschool at Teddy Bear, which a lot of people did. I even took my daughter there just because I wanted to keep the tradition going.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that neighborhood was so tight knit. The owner of Teddy Bear, he was also later on my baseball coach.
Oh wow!
And just a great guy.
Yeah.
And his kids too. It was a family-owned business.
Yeah.
So I was bad, man. They used to lock me in a room, because
I
was on timeout. And I think there's some law that they tell you they can't do that anymore. I'm like, hey, man, why didn't they have that back in
at the daycare?
80s?
They used to lock you up in the room.
Yeah, I was locked up in a room, And now that I look back, I'm like, they should have locked me in the room a lot sooner because nap time just wasn't nap time for me, man.
You were just a hyper kid then, huh?
yeah, very hyper.
Yeah.
But I'm very grateful for them not killing me. That's. And I'm still friends with Nick Schmidt and the family, and it was an experience, and I think now looking back too is even learning with my own daughter, what the problem is that I was an only child at the time, and my parents. Tried to keep me happy all the time. So then when I got thrown into a social world where, you got other kids that don't want to play the same thing you want to play. You just throw a fit or, you do what you need to do to get your way, because I always got my way. And then little by little you learn that it just doesn't work that way.
Right.
So I started there, and kindergarten I ended up at Sawyer School.
Okay.
52nd and Sawyer.
All right.
Back in the day, and that's where I spent. It was first, second, third grade, and when I went to, I want to say it was third grade. There was this teacher, and I'll say her name because I hate her to this day. I don't know. She's probably dead by now, but Miss Apt.
Yeah.
I was a jerk, whatever, but she used to pull my hair.
She used to pull your hair?
She used to pull my hair, and like she'd pull it so hard, and then like that she'd like pull it out of my scalp.
No way.
And
was she like older this, or was she?
She was an older lady.
Yeah.
And she'd like go like this, and all my hair is falling on the desk. I'm like, man, like.
What would you do for her to pull your hair though?
But maybe I was talking. I don't know. Yeah. I just remember sitting at my desk getting my hair pulled.
I used to have a teacher that used to hit me with the stick, with the with the ruler, the yardstick, or the pointer stick, and she would hit me in the head like that. And I forgot. She would call me something. She wouldn't call me by my name. I told my mom, and then my mom went to talk to her, and then she stopped that. But what did you tell your parents or?
I went to tell my parents, right? And my mom was sort of working at the time. I don't recall, but my mom has always worked. Mm-hmm. But I remember she was home a lot during this time, or I think she might have taken a day off or something like that. But she had told me that if she does it again, she gives me a Ziploc bag, and if my mom sees this, she'll remember this, and she'll understand English now. She gave me a Ziploc bag and said, si te estira el cabello otra vez, mételo aquí, So yeah, sure enough, the next day I did something. I did it on purpose, and she came over, pulled my hair, told me to shut up, and did one of these. So I said, so I saved the hair. Took it home to my mom, and she was furious, man. So the next day, my dad sent her to the school. Habla con ellos, saber qué está pasando, you know? And
yeah.
so we go to the school.
Did your mom take the hair?
And the next thing that happens is the principal, I guess, I don't know if she got tipped off or what, but they told the principal that I wasn't doing well in the 3rd grade.
Right.
And that I needed to go back to 2nd grade.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was just, I think my mom didn't know how to defend herself in English. You know, I'm just standing there stupid. I didn't know what was going on.
Right.
All I was told is I got to go down to 2nd grade now. And
so they didn't flunk you? They sent you back?
They sent me back.
No way.
So I had to repeat the 2nd grade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's why, you know, throughout the years, I've always been a year behind.
Yeah,
and it wasn't because I was dumb. It was because, you know, this teacher did something she wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, the Chicago public school system back then, you know, that principal's name was Ellen Reiter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And people that went to Sawyer remember her. She used to have this signature, like, shout. She would always say, hey, 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 hey. So everybody would see her. It's like, oh, that's the, you know, hey, 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 hey. For anything, if she was like trying to stop you from doing something, or if you're running in the hallway or whatever, you hear that hey, 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 hey down the hallway.
Yeah.
So that was her trademark, I should say. But yeah, she listened to this teacher, and I ended up back in 2nd grade. And so after that, my dad wasn't happy with what happened.
Right.
And I think, I don't want to say my father understood me, but I think my father knew that, you know, I wasn't an idiot.
Yeah,
yeah.
You know, so your parents, did they know English, or they didn't?
My dad knew English, but he was, like I said, he was like the main breadwinner. My mom had like a smaller job, you know.
Yeah.
Eventually down the line, my mom ended up going to work with my dad. They still worked together.
Did they move here from Mexico, or did they?
They met here.
They met here,
yeah.
But
they were in Mexico. They were
both born over there.
They were first born over there. I'm first generation.
First generation. Did you what part of Mexico were they from?
My dad's from La Joya, Durango.
Okay.
And my mom from a small town called Nieves, Zacatecas.
Oh, okay.
You know, so the story was that, you know, my mom actually liked my dad's friend, and, you know, then eventually she saw something she didn't like out of that guy, and then my dad ended up, you know,
yeah,
moving in, or whatever you want to call that. But
right.
They met here.
Oh, wow.
So
do you think in general, just like growing up with your parents like that, and you not and them like not being able to defend you on some of that stuff, like, did it affect you anyway, like in regards to like you wanting to learn more? Or
the thing is, at that time I was so young that I didn't realize what was happening.
Right.
I just took whatever came and I moved with it.
Yeah.
But right after that situation, my father took me out of the school,
mm-hmm.
and he ended up putting me at St. Gall. No, now he's got to pay. You know, now it's more money out of his pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he was doing well. It's just, my dad's not the type to flaunt, you know, what he makes, or he's never had a brand new car. You know,
mm-hmm.
It was always about taking care of the family,
right,
and making sure we had what we needed, and building a nest egg. You know, he's always thinking about the future. He's a step ahead all the time.
Right.
So, you know, when this whole thing came up, like, well, now you're going to St. Gall. I didn't know nothing about tuition. I'm in 2nd grade, 3rd grade. I didn't care, man. I was a new school, cool.
Yeah.
I'll do it, you know. So I ended up there. I was at St. Gall for 2 years, and then a spot opened up at St. Simon.
Okay.
St. Simon on 51st or it's like 52nd-ish in California. Ran into more problems there, you know, por pendejo, I guess.
Yeah.
And looking back, I was bored all the time, you know.
Yeah.
I knew the material. I could pass my tests, you know, after the instruction in the classroom, but I just didn't want to do my homework.
Yeah.
I lasted till about 7th grade.
Okay.
In the middle of 7th grade, the principal and the 7th grade teacher had a conference with my parents, and pretty much told my parents that I had a learning disability, you know, and that they wanted to send me off to some, you know, to get checked out or whatever. And so, they did some tests, and they're like, oh yeah, well, he's got ADD.
Uh-huh.
And they prescribed me Ritalin. And this is probably I've confessed this to certain people. My parents are probably gonna hear this for the first time. I'm gonna get my ass kicked tomorrow. They put me on this Ritalin stuff.
Yeah.
But I never took it.
Oh, you never?
I never took it. I always put it like on the side of my tongue and I'd spit it out. I think, well, I took it once and it just made me feel like crap, right? And never again, man. So I'm not doing it. So about maybe 2 weeks after, they had another like regroup conference, and they're all sitting there, and the teacher and the principal are like, it's really working well. He's changed his behavior. This stuff is working. And I'm sitting there like, man, I haven't done anything,
But did you change your behavior, or was it you just didn't want to take that stuff?
I just didn't want to take the stuff. And I just kept my mouth shut.
I
sat at my desk and didn't talk to nobody. I kept to myself. Eventually, I couldn't stop myself from, being me. And I got expelled for not doing my homework. I didn't do my homework. I got sent down to the office, and she expelled me. But this woman, the principal, her name was Miss Wolfsmith. I'm dropping all sorts of names today. So Miss Wolfsmith called every single school in the area and told them not to accept me. Every single school, even the public schools. We found this out because, we went to the other schools and like, oh, well, yeah, the other principal told us, that you're a problem child or whatever.
You're a turtle. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I ended up at St. Clara de Montefalco. And that's where I met Karina.
Okay.
So we go there, we meet with the principal. The principal says, I'm going to take a lot of heat for this from the school board. And we're like, well, what? And this is, she's got to go with what the school board says. Sometimes they're the ones that hire her, They pay the bills for her. And she's like, I'm going to take him in because, he needs to finish school. And it's not fair that, some woman decides to call all these schools and try to bar you from getting an education.
Yeah. That
was Miss Iris Foley, who gave me another opportunity. So yeah, I ended up at St. Clair, met Karina, and Karina was going through, all the medical issues during that time too. And we were all always, by her. And I think, during that time, I calmed down a little bit. Then I got to 8th grade, and then I had this teacher in 8th grade who just hated me.
Yeah.
And she probably still does to this day. That one I won't say because she's still alive. But those people that were in my class know exactly who I'm talking about. My 8th grade teacher. I spent the last half of 8th grade in the library. And she didn't want me to graduate with like the rest of the class. And, but I ended up, the principal made it happen, so I graduated with everybody else. During that time, I started mixing. I started spending a lot of time in the basement. With my turntables. My cousin Gino Rock and Romo. I went to him, and I'll never forget this. I said, hey, I want to learn how to mix, because I've been watching him since I was like 5, at the family parties and, turntables.
And did you know that he was like a big deal?
We were listening to 90.5. Back then it was WCYC in Gage Park. Okay. But we didn't get a good signal, so we had to put like foil on our antennas, and we had the radio up on the top shelf, and we had, and we're calling and asking for dedications and hey, send me a shout out, and they would do it, they'd do it. It was those were fun times, and then I really wanted to do it, I said I want to get into this DJing thing because I love music, I always have. Well. I asked him to teach me, and he says, okay. He goes, the only thing I can tell you is that you need to learn how to count to 16 and 32. And then he showed me how to, match up 2 records, and he pretty much told me the concept of the 16 and 32.
Right.
You know, and then that was it. You know, I went to the basement. I bought my first went to Hot Jams. I don't even remember Hot Jams.
Yeah, Hot Jams on Archer and Pulaski.
Archer and Pulaski.
Yeah.
With Andre.
Yeah.
And bought my first record. It was River Ocean featuring India. And it was 2 records in one.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a double LP or whatever. So I learned how to mix with that. You know, back and forth, for hours in the basement, for hours. And I took that to high school with me, man. Now getting to high school,
yeah,
my very first day of orientation, I ended up going to De La Salle.
Okay.
And there was only one reason I chose De La Salle. Well, actually 2. I'll take that back. There was 2. Number 1, it was an all-boys school. Right. And I didn't want the distraction of having girls around, you know. I was like, you know what? Because I already knew myself. So this was like the very first responsible move I ever made in my life is, you know, going to a school for all boys because I knew that having girls there was going to be troublesome for me.
Right.
And the other reason was because it graduated 5 mayors of the city of Chicago. And, you know, at that time, I'm like, man, I'm going to be a politician, you know. I'm going to go out there and...
So how old were you when you were thinking about all this stuff already?
Let's see, 8th grade,
13,
so
14?
15 years old.
Yeah.
You know, because it hits you. It's like, well, what are you going to do, you know?
Yeah.
What are you doing when you get older?
Was education a big deal for your parents, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. My father was a little lost at the time on, you know, and I remember him telling me, he's like, well, what do we do now? You know, what happens after grammar school?
Yeah.
You know, he went to high school, but he's like, well, how do we select a high school? Because I don't think he remembers that process of how he ended up, you know, where he went to high school.
Because it's different in the city, right? Compared to like in the suburbs. 'Cause I feel like in the suburbs, a lot of times it's just, you just go to the high school that's in your district. You know what I mean?
Well, it's kind of the same way. You know, you have high schools in the area. Like for us, it would have been Gage Park.
Right.
Gage Park High School. But being that I was in a Catholic school, the Catholic schools would have like a information day, you know, so all these Catholic schools would come and do a presentation to try to lure you to go there, you know.
So they're high school. Oh, see, I didn't know that. So maybe that's why
like
it's
recruitment.
different.
There were like recruitment things, but
yeah.
they come in and we like those because then, you know, there's no instruction, you know, it's like
right.
It's like a movie day.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
They come in and they tell you all about the school, and you know you don't have to listen to the teacher.
Yeah.
So the presentation that got me was the De La Salle presentation because, you know, Mayor Daley, and you know, like, damn, Mayor Daley, I want to be like Mayor Daley, you know. He's guy gets driven around all day.
Yeah.
So that was, you know, the other reason that I chose it. So the first day of orientation, I took the test and I passed.
Yeah.
The first day of orientation, I took the 52 bus, which it goes down California in front of St. Simon. On the way back, and I kid you not, and I tell everybody this story because this was my, I don't know what you want to call it, but I you know, it was one of the best days of my younger life.
Right.
On my way back from orientation from De La Salle the first day, the bus is passing in front of St. Simon, and I look out, you know, kind of wanted to give it the finger, but, you know, it's a Catholic school, and, you know, I'd probably get struck by lightning the next day. But
yeah,
Miss Wolfsmith was getting out of her car.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled that string, I got off, and I crossed the street. I'm in a uniform with a tie that says De La Salle all over it.
Yeah.
And I walk up to Miss Wolfsmith and say, hey, hi, Miss, really friendly, you know, hi, Miss Wolfsmith, how are you? You know, like I forgot what she did to me.
Yeah.
On purpose. I wanted to see what her reaction was going to be. I think I was planning that in my head as I'm walking over. I was like, man, I wonder what she's going to say when she finds out that I went to De La Salle, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So she's like, oh, hey, how are you? And her question that she asked me was, so where do you work now?
Oh, wow.
I'm like, work? Oh, I don't work. It's like, you don't work?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm going to high school. What high school are you going to? De La Salle. And she looked, I swear to God, it looked like she saw a ghost.
Yeah.
And she's looking at me like, well, where did you go to grammar school? I said, well, I went to, you know, St. Clair, you know, the one you called? Yeah, St. Clair de Montefalco. Have a nice day, Miss Will Smith. And I walked home from there with this huge grin on my face, man. I was like, man, you know, it was a powerful moment for me because, you know, you overcome the things that the obstacles people try to put in your way.
Yeah.
You know, she wanted to ruin my life.
Right.
That's what she was up for.
Yeah.
And I didn't let it happen. You know, we didn't let it happen.
Yeah.
And luckily, again, for Miss Iris Foley, who had faith in you know, my abilities, or at least showed that she cared. You know,
yeah.
she cared about me, not what, you know, some opinion of some other you know, outside source.
Right.
But I owe Miss Foley a lot. You know.
Yeah.
For taking a chance on me.
So, do you have any jobs while you were in high school, or do you just strictly high school?
So, I started working as a paper boy at some point for a little bit, and then the snow came, and I said, "Forget this."
Yeah.
Southwest News Herald. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. They used to be off of Harlem.
So I did that for a little bit, and then I made like the paper boy of the month or of the it was like, or the week or something like that. It was some award I got.
Yeah.
And one of my neighbors, Renee Cruz and Debbie. They're a friend of mine's parents, Monica Cruz. They posted it on the side of the fridge, and they had it there for years, man. And every time I come over and see it there, and it's like, man, I was like, it was an honor, and I think it was more of an honor for them for them to have it. Like, I felt honored that they had it on the side of their fridge, you know.
Yeah.
You know, just the kid down the street, you know.
Yeah.
But I was delivering papers for a little bit. Once I hit 16. A friend of mine from high school, his name's Tony Ramirez. Tony Ramirez was the son of the late man. See, now I got a brain fart here. They were the owners of SMG Security from back in the day.
Okay.
And Tony had said, hey, you know, you want to come and work at McCormick Place as an usher, because I was only 16.
Right.
So like for the shows, the trade shows that come in, we just stand there and look pretty and check badges so people can come in.
Yeah.
So it was like my first like. Real
so they were like
job.
The Monterey Security of back in the day.
Yes, they were the originals. You know, before Monterey.
Yeah.
Monterey came around, and you know, it's all political connections and
yeah.
And that was like, you know, a learning experience, you know,
yeah,
seeing how all that operated. And it opened doors to a bunch of other different things that, you know, got me where I am today.
Right.
And, you know, they kept us around for a long time, you know,
yeah.
and partly because we went to school with Tony. You know, Tony was a De La Salle alum.
Right.
And it's Greg Ramirez. Now, Greg passed away a couple years ago, cancer. He was also a trustee in Lions.
Oh, okay.
So Greg and his partners had the security company, and Greg had asked one time about helping him with the computer problem because he saw that I was really good with computers. And then he shows me like his server and, you know, all these like really high tech things. And he's like, well, do you know how to work these? I'm yeah. I can help you out with that.
Yeah.
Truth is, you know, I knew a little bit, just not a lot. And I think he knew that, but he still gave me the opportunity to go in and stick my hands in there.
Yeah.
And I liked it. You know, I thought it was pretty cool.
Right.
So I continued to help Greg out throughout the years. I ended up getting a job at Standard Parking at Navy Pier.
Okay.
And so I spent a lot of time in Navy Pier. I parked cars. We counted spots, and you know, we worked late nights, and good time, man. I you know,
yeah.
Till about 18 or so.
Right.
And then I was still working with Greg at this time too, when they had trade shows. So then my daughter was born. It was the main nights. It was like right after I graduated.
Yeah.
I graduated high school. My uncle had passed away the same day. It was, and he was like the first person in our family that passed away that, you know, that was close to us, you know,
right.
So we took it hard. And,
yeah.
well, she ended up being born like I think the same, or it was right around the same day time span where you know they pulled the plug on my uncle.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it was life changing. So now it's like, okay, well, college,
yeah,
out the window, you know, and I ended up getting an actual job at a place called Tripp Lite. Tripp Lite, they're on 35th and Aberdeen. They make like computer products or whatever. And what it was is I wanted to get into their IT department.
Right.
Because I knew a lot more about computers by that time.
Yeah.
And
so was computers just something that you picked up like in high school, bro, or was it just something you were good at? It something that came natural to you?
Grammar schoolish. You know, I was helping some of the teachers that liked me, you know.
Yeah.
Even in high school, man, I keyboarding freshman year. Mr. Easley like, saw that I was like just nailing all these, you know, things. I was done before everybody else. And what it was, I was in chat rooms, you know, in grammar school. So by the time I got to high school, I was, you know, doing 70, 80 you know, words a minute.
Yeah.
And I think it was like 60, 70, 80, somewhere around there. I was fast.
So you're one of those guys that could look, you don't have to look at the keyboard? You
just... So even though sometimes I still use like the wrong fingers for the wrong keys, but I know they're there, so I'm hitting them with the wrong hand, but it works. Well, Mr. Easley sat me next to him every day to write his, I was typing up his college recommendations for the seniors.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I passed his class.
Yeah.
You know? And it was cool because, you know, I didn't have to do what they were doing, you know, doing the whole QWERTY and you know, back and forth and practice. I was actually typing real letters, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, after that, there was another teacher, Mr. Johnson, at De La Salle, that his laptop broke or something, and you know, Mr. Johnson was a very strong character. He emotionless, you know, just you always thought he was mad. He had that face where, you know, you didn't know if you could talk to him or not.
Yeah.
Well, his laptop broke, and I happened to overhear him talking about that. I'm like, oh, well, you know, let me take a look at it. And he looks, oh, you know how to fix these? I'm like, yeah. You know, and so took it home, man, fixed it, you know, left it better than brand new, brought it back. And, you know, that was it. I was like, man, I'm good at this stuff. You know?
Yeah.
So I continued that. So when I found out about my daughter, and I say found out because I didn't know she was around until she was 2 months old, you know, I had to cancel college, and I had a friend who was an engineer at Tripp Lite. So he designed like the products. And I asked him if there was any job there in the IT department. And he's like, well, not right now. He goes, but I can get you in the door. And then when something opens up, you move over. So he got me in the door, and I ended up working for the international department, like international sales.
Yeah.
And I was like a secretary, you know. I was a receptionist, answering phones for the international department, shipping stuff, and just, you know, I was working for the manager.
Right.
Well, there was a spot that was about to open in the IT department, and I'm like, man, so I got to compete for this spot, and I don't have anything under my belt that says that I am qualified, right? So I remember that every day we'd go into work and log onto the computer. We'd log onto a Novell screen. I don't know if you remember Novell. It'd say, no, you know how you log into Windows, Control-Alt-Delete?
Oh, yeah.
It said Novell.
I think I still have a computer with Novell on it.
So
it says Novell. I
looked up Novell, you know, online, and then I found this, you know, computer learning center place.
Yeah.
And I signed up for classes to get certified in Novell. And what was going to happen, I was going to take my vacation, my week vacation, and go to class, and then come back certified, and then apply for that spot.
Yeah.
And now I have Novell under my belt.
Right.
Well, that didn't work out that way.
No.
So I went to go ask for my vacation from my boss, and I guess it was happening at the end of the month, and he wasn't happy about that because the end of the month is important and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, I just paid, you know, or my dad helped me get a loan for like $7,000 to get this done.
Oh, wow.
So I can't miss his class. And the truth was I probably could have, but I think my hurry was I didn't want to miss the application deadline to get into the IT department.
Right.
Well, I went to HR and I asked HR, I was like, you know, I'm entitled to my vacation, right? As long as I put in notice. Well, I'm putting in my notice and I'm getting denied. And they're like, no, if you tell us, we're going to have to approve it because that's what's in the handbook. Or something like that. They told me I was good to go.
Yeah.
Well, I come in on the Friday before I'm going to take this vacation, and I get pulled into the room and I get fired. Yeah, I got fired. That was the first time I ever got terminated from a job.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, and he tells me, that it was a performance issue, blah, blah, blah. And I knew it was no performance issue. He just wasn't happy that I went around him, and, I wanted to take my vacation. Because I came in early every day. I did everything they wanted me to do. I never got sat down and talked to. So, there ain't no performance issue here, man. This is all just because you don't like the fact that I went to HR and I want my vacation when I'm entitled to it.
Yeah.
So he leaves after I get canned. HR walks in, and they're like, well, we're going to give you 2 weeks severance. I'll take it. So I went to the training the next week. 5 days. I came in the next Monday, took the certification exam for Novell, and I got certified. On the way out, I get stopped by the IT manager for that location, for that training facility. And he's like, hey, can I have a word with you? And it's like, well, we see you passed. And are you looking for a job?
Yeah.
And I'm like, as a matter of fact, I am. And later on, after talking to him, what it was is that I was the youngest person. I was like 19.
Yeah.
I was 19 years old, 18, 19 years old. The youngest person in that training class. And that the trainer, I guess, the trainer's Ben Hendon, that was his name. So the trainer went and told you know how they have talks when they take their breaks, they go and they'll talk about their class or whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess I was the topic of conversation. I got this young kid in here. He's not even looking up, right? Which I was, and I was like going through all the practicals and during, because we had a computer in front of us to try things.
Yeah.
So I was ahead of the class. We got all these other old folks in there that
were trying to learn it,
trying to learn. And I guess he went to tell the IT manager that I was in the class, and so he caught me on the way out and offered me a job. And I worked there for a little bit, and it was like boot camp,
Yeah.
I was spending like 12-hour days there, but by choice. You had your 8-hour day, and I would volunteer to do stuff just to do it. You were on salary, so I wasn't getting paid extra.
Yeah, yeah.
But for me, it was like I was having a great time. Learning about computers. Back then it was hubs. We didn't have switches just yet. Mm-hmm. And Cisco gear and just anything you can think of.
Yeah.
So little by little, I ended up getting clients from there. And I got hired by all these clients on the side, so I moved on to doing that as a consulting. Then there was this one guy who I was subbing for. And, I didn't have a non-compete, nothing like that, and I was grateful the guy gave me work. But the company, one of the companies that we were doing work for, the owner was building a new company, mm-hmm. and which had nothing to do with this guy. So they said they were looking for someone to run their IT department, and I was like 21 at the time. Mm-hmm. And that's where I met this gentleman by the name of Jeff Turner. And Jeff Turner, to this day, it just ended up being a huge mentor for me.
Yeah.
Interviewed with him, and this is a white guy, clean cut, yellow power tie, just you go in, you're sitting there, you're like, man, I'm not getting this job. Mm-hmm. Here's this mocoso, sitting in front of him. I got no credentials. I just graduated high school, and it was a formal interview. And I don't know, he saw something that he liked or whatever it was, and he gave me the job. And I was like, wow, okay, and he made it was a team leader job.
Yeah.
And we did some really hefty stuff with IT, man, and helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
That job lasted a little while, but it went bad quick. Not because of him, but it was because of the guy that we were working for. He ended up stealing like $2.5 million or something like that.
Holy cow.
Yeah, from the Carpenters Union. He got caught eventually, but I saw something wasn't right, and I left.
Yeah.
And when I left, he did some other things that he shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
Which came back to bite us all in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that when we get to that point. I'll explain that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy was skimming money off the top when he wasn't supposed to. It was money that didn't belong to him. He was managing it.
Oh, okay.
And I left, and I think my biggest mistake there was not really talking to Jeff, my mentor, and telling him I was leaving or what happened.
Yeah.
But there were some fights. And to this day, me and Jeff look back and we laugh about it because this jerk would, when I would tell him, something wasn't possible. I'll give you an example. This was a funny one. So they had a system, a database system, where it had a bunch of like canned reports that come with it.
Yeah.
And something happened. I guess this guy, they were starting to get, to him where they're figuring out that he's like skimming the system or whatever. So he comes to me and says, I want a copy of every single report this system puts out. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't want that. He goes, I want a copy, blah, blah. And it's like, you don't want that. I'm the boss. You do what I say. Okay. So I go and do exactly what he told me. I printed out every single report that came out of the system.
How many reports was it?
I wasted a whole box of reams of paper.
Yeah.
And I stacked them on his desk. They were like up to here. So he comes in and he sees that. And he calls me like yelling over to his office. I'm standing in a doorway. Jeff's office is like right here. So he's looking at me while I'm getting yelled at from this side.
Yeah.
And this imbecile
Uh-huh.
tells me to go to my room like I'm some kid.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? So then Jeff gets up and he comes in, he like stands in front of me, he goes, just go home for the day. Just go home for the day. This is not going to end well. I was like, okay. So he told me, you're getting paid. Just go home for the day.
Yeah.
Jeff knew I did what I was told.
Yeah.
You know, and I tried to tell him, you don't want that. But,
yeah.
You know, yeah, I wasted.
So you've been doing IT all that time, bro, since you were in high school? See, I didn't know that.
20-something years.
20-something years? How has technology changed from back then to now?
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And it's ever changing.
Yeah.
You know, ever.
How do you stay on top of that? How do you stay on top of
You gotta read, man.
Yeah.
You gotta read. But you know, I've gotten to the point where I can't be staying on top of that anymore. It can't be me. You know, I have to, you know, some of it, yeah, you know, but I think my problem is I like to get my hands dirty.
Yeah.
I like to fix things. I like the challenge.
Because I used to work for McDonald's. I used to work for I was in IT, but I used to monitor like the data centers and all that other stuff. And we used to have guys that would come in and work with us. And these guys that were like old school guys, they worked for IBM or all these companies, but then they basically got transitioned out because all the networks, all the stuff that they learned back in the day didn't exist anymore. It was new stuff. It changed. And then they didn't have anything to do. Like I had and the way like the guys that would come and fix the Xerox machines and even the Xerox guys be like, dude, like, they used to like coming to McDonald's because McDonald's for a long time, the printers that we had to print the checks and reports, they were old machines. So like for them, they were like, oh, dude, these machines are easy to fix. They're like, these are the machines we all learned on. So they were cool with it. I mean, they knew what to do. But then when the new machines started coming, like you would see new guys come in, or the old guys would be like, man, like I hate these machines. Like they're terrible to, and then back in the day, or like the old machines, it was just the maintenance guy that would have to come in and fix them. The new machines would come in, and it was like the hardware guy and the software guy would have to come in because if it wasn't the hardware issue, it was a software issue. And I remember one time, and he doesn't listen, so I don't give a fuck. But my old boss, we were telling him, dude, forever. We're like, bro, like this isn't a hardware issue. You guys keep on sending a hardware guy out here to fix it. I'm like, this is a software issue. And what would happen is we had two big printers. So what would happen? We would always get lucky because the software would fuck up on one of them, but we always had the backup, the other one. So we'd run all the checks. So it was payroll. It was checks. It was payroll. So we would always have a backup, and we would tell them like, look, bro, like they need to fix this because, and these were new printers, and we told them like, you guys need to get the software guys out here, and they need to fix this issue because one day both of these printers are gonna go out at the same time. And you're gonna be screwed because the software guys, the hardware guys would come out 24/7.
Pointing fingers, man.
Yeah,
that's how it is. Even to this day,
24/7. The hardware guys would go out there and fix it. The software guys were prima donnas. They would only come out from 9 to 5. So and then they wouldn't come out on weekends, and that's when we would run weekends and nights, all that stuff. Because by Monday morning, all those checks had to be done because they had to be shipped out for everybody to get their checks. Well, that time. It happened, dude. Both the software went off on both printers, and we told them, and we escalated it. And we kept on calling and calling and calling. Long story short, the checks got done on time, but it was like a deadline, dude. Like it was the whole situation was just stupid. But they ended up blaming us. That we should escalate. I'm like, dude, we've been telling you for months about this. I'm like, the thing is that you guys don't do anything about it. So that's why I just wanted to get it off my chest. Yeah.
It still goes on to this day.
I think it's I think hardware, I think IT stuff is just, it's so complicated that people want to think they know stuff, and sometimes they just have to
I'll tell you what it is. It depends on the person.
Yeah.
I've always been the type that, and I forget, I just had this conversations recently with somebody. In IT, it's all about job security.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to be the best and the go-to guy. I like to be the go-to guy, but at the same time, I'm going to teach you how to fix something.
Right.
I'd rather have a client never call me again because I did something right, than to keep calling me because it's broken.
Yeah.
Or, that's what brings in referrals for us.
Right.
If we do it right, they never call me. They'll get asked, hey, who does your IT? Oh, we got this guy Jesse, and so they'll give him our number, and here we are.
Yeah.
But that's how it is. Everybody's very possessive with their knowledge, and I always told myself I'm gonna be the opposite. So,
right.
I've done that. I've done that a lot. There's people that I bring in off the street. Into my office and because they ask, well, what do you do? So, oh, we do computers. Oh, I've always wanted to learn computers. Hey, I get off at 5. You want to show up? I'll give you an hour and we'll go from the ground up and I'll teach you. And it all for free.
Yeah, yes.
For me, it's what if this guy turns out to be great?
Right.
Maybe I can use him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're helping people. Because, like I said, me in high school and grammar school, I sucked, man. I hated school. School just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
But that's not like my daughter. She loves school. When she doesn't have 20,000 pieces of homework, but
yeah,
she learns that way.
Yeah.
I wasn't like that. I was like self-taught.
Right.
I like to learn on my own.
Yeah.
And there's people out there that don't have that opportunity. Right now, I'm trying to help out one of the janitors in my building. I see him; he's a young kid. See him every day, and one day I asked him, I said, "Well, what's the deal? You young and you got kids or what?" And no, he told me straight out. He's like, he's a dreamer, and he came from out of state and staying with his uncle is all he could get, and he seemed interested in learning what we do.
Yeah.
And so I'm helping him out, just to try to help him, not that there's anything wrong with being a janitor, but it's like,
right.
Dude, there's so much potential there. And I don't want him to feel like this is all he's going to be able to amount to.
Right.
And I think that's the problem with a lot of people out there is they think, well, this is all I can get. And they leave it at that. They're content sometimes when, they just need that push. They need to someone to tell them, no, you could do better than this. Not
right.
That, again, I stress to him, not that there's anything wrong with this, but
yeah,
you're a young kid, and you can't be stuck doing this.
Yeah.
Leave this for the people that need the extra money, and they want to do something on the side, or
right.
Maybe this is what they want to do, because there are people that want to be building engineers and janitors and stuff like that. That's their career.
Yeah.
You know? Or this could be a stepping stone for some high school kid.
Right.
You know, where you learn how to work. Because being a janitor is no easy task, man. I'll tell you right now, I don't know what I would do if I had to, you know, clean somebody's office and, you know, it'd be tough for me to do.
Right.
Because it's hard labor.
Yeah.
You know, my hard labor comes up here, you know, in my brain and, you know, but for me to like, you know, go and walk around, be on my feet all day, that's, to me, that's like,
yeah.
You know.
So while you're doing all this, bro, going back, are you still DJing or what are you doing on the side?
So let me tell you, right after I quit that one job.
Okay.
So now I'm jobless. You know, I'm living at home with my parents. I'm like 22. You know, I got my daughter.
Yeah.
I did still have some clients, you know, that I was doing some side IT work for.
Right.
And that's where the music business thing started.
Okay.
So I was DJing at some bar. Well, let me back up for when I went to this bar with some guy from high school that I went to high school with.
Yeah.
It was called Quinn's. Everybody remembers Quinn's. It was Quinn's on Archer, like near Halstead somewhere. And we would go there and have a couple of drinks or whatever. And then there was this DJ there. And he's still out there. It's DJ Nito is his name. He actually ended up marrying one of my, he's married to one of my grammar school friends.
Yeah.
And well, DJ Nito was at the table or whatever, right?
Right.
So I'm a few drinks in and I got the itch, man. I was like, man, I want to go up there on the turntables and play some music, you know?
Yeah.
So I go up there and I'm talking to Nito, Robert. I think his name's Robert. So I asked Robert, hey, man, is it okay if I spin, you know, a couple or whatever? And he's like, yeah, sure, man. And he's like, bring your records next time. Oh, you here every Saturday? Yeah, you know. I think it was Saturday or Friday. Saturday. It was one of those days. So the next time I brought my records, man. And, played some music and...
Because back then it wasn't computers, right? It wasn't a laptop or an iPod.
It was all vinyl.
All vinyl on
and this
crates.
was like 2002, man. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're still in the vinyl age. I mean, obviously the DJ CDs or whatever are still out there, you know, but we're doing vinyl. And so he was like, I don't want to talk for him or anything, but it seemed like they were impressed with, you know, and they started asking, man, how long you been mixing? And I'm like, man, since I was like 13, I'm 22 now, you know? So they kept inviting me back every Saturday. So I'd go there and I'd spin for free. Just give me beer. So I was spinning for beer, you know?
Yeah.
Then one night I ended up going to Huck Finn, you know, the usual spot over on Archer. And I walked in and this girl, Alex, was there. Alex Caraves. I don't know if you're familiar with Alex, but Alex is somehow related to some of my cousins through marriage, or I don't know how that works, but it's a family friend, and it just, we knew each other. So the minute she saw me, I sat down with them, and she asked, it was February 13th of 2002. I still remember the day.
Right.
She asked me what I was doing the next day. So it was a Friday night because the next day was a Saturday.
Yeah.
And I said I wanted to go to the Aragon to go see this group. I said, I'm just going to go see them and that's it. I'm going to leave. And it was El Conjunto Atardecer. It was a Duranguense group. But I really didn't like Duranguense except this group because I heard them once.
Because that's when Duranguense was...
It was taken off.
Yeah, it was taken off.
Yeah. And I heard one of their songs and it was Mi Eterno Amor Secreto. So it was a Wookiee song. That they made into Duranguense. Yeah. And I really liked it, you know, and I was listening to the original recording, not the re-recording that they did. And I heard they were coming into town and they were playing for the Valentine's Day dance or whatever.
Yeah.
I wanted to go. So when I told that to her, she like lit up and she's like, oh, I'm going too.
Yeah.
Do you want to go together? I'm like, sure. You know, I'm like, fuck, we'll carpool, you know?
Yeah.
Well, she's like, all right, well, meet me in my house. Gives me the address and stuff, and we met up. I went to her house the next day because her and her like family were going. It was her brother and her cousin. Mm-hmm. But she failed to tell me when I got to her cousin's or her house. Her cousin was there, and her cousin comes up to me. His name was Pelon. We call him Pelon. He's like, all right, well, you're going to have to do a little work. I'm like, hey man, whatever, anything, you know. It's like, you know, I was like, oh, I got money to get in. Like, oh no, you're not gonna need that. I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, you're gonna have to carry some stuff. Like, all right. So, and nobody's saying anything yet. You know, we're like, yeah, okay, cool. So we get into the Jeep. He had a Jeep at the time. I'll never forget that Jeep. So we get in the Jeep and we drive to Cicero down here. There's a discoteca across the street from El Mesón.
Okay, yeah,
Discoteca Mexico.
Yeah, that's when there was still CD stores, right?
Yes.
That's what
so there was a CD store. So we go to the CD store, and I'm like sitting here, and hey man, the Aragon's that way, you know. Yeah. So we all got out. We walk into this CD store, and lo and behold, in the back was El Conjunto Atardecer. I'm like, what's going on here? You know.
Yeah. That's the group you were gonna go see in that you wanted to go see. I was gonna
go see.
Yeah.
And it turns out that Pelon was their front of house sound engineer. And they didn't tell me that.
Oh, wow.
So Alex had this all planned out, I guess, and got me a good surprise.
Yeah.
So we ended up going with them that night. We did all the, you know, the normal spots, Noa Noa, and, you know, I don't think we went Noa Noa's that night. We went Noa Noa's the next day. But because usually Noa Noa's the good stuff's on Sunday.
Yeah.
It was the Aragon, like Globos, or, you know, we went to 3 spots. I remember that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the night, we went back to the discoteca. And they asked me, oh, ¿vas a venir mañana? I'm like, well, yeah, all right, cool. So I went on the Sunday thing.
Yeah.
So when we got back on Sunday, they handed me money. One of the singers comes up and hands me money. I'm like, what's this for, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to hang out with these guys for free, and this guy's paying me.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, pues trabajaste. I'm like, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, I carried stuff, but for me, I mean, the Aragon got a lot of stairs to go up to the backstage. I don't know if you've ever been back there, but
yeah, I have been back there.
Imagine carrying keyboards all the way up that. Oh my God. So, I was trying to reject the money, but he insisted.
Right.
And no, he was getting angry because I wasn't taking it. And I think for his name was Mario. Mario, he's got another band now, La Senda Norteña. Mario Madrigal. That's his name. So he was getting a little agitated that I wasn't taking his money. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll take it, you know, because I didn't want to piss him off.
Yeah.
And then he asked me if I wanted to go on tour with them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, and I'm thinking, well, I got my daughter here, and, you know, I said, I can't. I mean, I wish I could, but I can't.
Yeah.
Pelon ended up calling me like the next weekend, and, you know, he said, the guys really liked working with you. They want you to come along. And I said, well, I have to come back home, you know, and they made the exception somehow. They made sure I was home during the week.
Yeah.
So I was coming home every Monday. So I'd leave Friday and come back home Monday. So I was with Atardecer. For them, I was actually a roadie. You know, you call it a roadie. I was a roadie, but I was getting paid.
Yeah.
And then we went to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up going to San Luis Potosí. And it was the only time I've ever been away for Christmas from my family. And it was tough. It was tough. I lost money in Mexico. Because, you know, in Mexico, the bailes are cheaper.
Yeah.
You know? And I was spending a lot more eating than what I was making.
Yeah.
They were giving me, you know, a lot of money. So I came back to the States after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And during that time, I knew Mota, but then Mota was playing at Mota with the Crudos. It was
Los Crudos,
right? So they were playing at San Pius one weekend.
Okay.
And so Ismael, I want to call him by his first name. So Ismael, we all know him by Mota, but and that's actually his last name. So he calls me up and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" Nothing. He goes, "You know, you want to come help us out at San Pius? You know, we got a concert. And, you know, you want to work the board? You know how to work it?" And like, yeah, I know how to work it. I didn't know anything about that.
You didn't know how to work the board?
No. I just said yes, you know, and I'm like, well, it can't be that difficult. You know, I was a DJ. I worked 2 channels. Now I got 25.
Yeah.
You know, just mix them together.
Yeah.
So we're at San Pius, and I completely tore up that event. Just tore it up. So at the end of the night, Mota comes up to me and he's like, hey, pues qué pasó? And I'm like, man, something was wrong with that console, man. I don't know. So she goes, you know Mota. Forget about it, man.
He's really cool.
Hey, come on tour with us, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I need money. You know, I'm not working with the Set anymore, so
yeah,
I went on tour with them. So that time I had to stay with them because we were driving around, and so we went to Florida. You know, we stopped in Atlanta a couple times, and we ended up going to California on another trip. So we're in California.
Mm-hmm. We
were in Pasadena, and it was notorious. And I'm sure you know this, but like anytime you hang around with Los Crudos, it's a drink fest.
It's a party.
It's a party, and during work, it was always a party. I was halfway hammered when I was when it was showtime.
Yeah.
Well. We're at Pasadena, and we were opening for Braceros Musical.
Okay.
And the manager from Braceros comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, can you help us out? Because our engineer, something happened. He got sick, or he just couldn't make it. I don't remember exactly what happened, but he said he couldn't make it."
Yeah.
And I'm thinking he just didn't have a visa, or something, because they had come from Mexico, I think, or something. There was some story to that.
Yeah.
But I was already drunk, man. I was just drunk, and I said, "Well, you got to talk to my boss." And I pointed at Mota, I was like, "Go talk to him. He's the one that's paying me." So they went up to Mota. And what does Mota say? "Oh yeah, no problem, go for it." So I'm like, "All right, cool." I was worried because I'm like, man, what if I don't hear things the right way? I pushed the wrong button, because I'm like, I'm spinning, the room's spinning already.
Yeah.
Well, I think I did pretty well.
Yeah.
Because when we got back to Chicago, I got called. And they wanted me to help. I think they called Mota first, and then Mota gave me my number. Mm-hmm. They wanted me to help for some fiesta privada de la ley. You know how La Ley used to do those, invitation only concerts at like Globos, and and it was at Globos. So I was like, yeah, sure. I've got nothing to do. I'll go. So I went and helped them out, and they offered me to go on tour with them. And then I told them the same things, man. I got my daughter. I can't do it. Don't worry about it. We'll fly you. So they were flying me every Friday to their first stop. And every Monday morning, I was taking the very first flight out back home.
Oh, wow.
So I did that for a good 2 years, man. 2-3 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Just back and forth, flying around the country.
Yeah.
Working with them. And the more and more I worked with different consoles and different acoustics and different places. I read a lot of books, too, on top of that.
Yeah.
After that first concert at San Pios, man, I was at Guitar Center looking for mixing books.
Yeah.
I ended up getting really good at it. And not to toot my own horn, but I was really good at it. We got to about 2018, 2017, somewhere around there. I forget what year exactly, but my daughter was old enough to, tell me not to leave anymore.
Right.
She goes, "I don't want you to leave anymore."
Yeah.
And that hit me hard. I was like, man, you would never imagine your kid saying something like that.
Right.
You would think that they're just used to how life is, and dad's never home, or dad's not home on the weekends.
Yeah.
So I didn't hesitate, not one bit. The following weekend after she told me that, I told them that I was gonna leave the band.
Yeah.
That I'm gonna just get a normal job like everybody else.
Right.
But if you guys come to Chicago, I'll help you out. I said, this is gonna be my last weekend. Oh, okay. They weren't happy about it, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So my last show with them was in St. Louis, and it was like history repeating itself all over again. La Banda Jerez de Marco Flores.
Yeah.
We opened for them, I don't want to say we opened for them. We played with them because Braceros was already, they were top of the line at the time. Well, their manager comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, you think you can help us out?" And at that point, I'm like, "I don't need permission." Yeah, sure, no problem. So he sat next to me the whole time, and when the band was playing, I fixed the console to my liking, you know, and he's just standing there. He didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And up to the end, you know, once it was all over, he offered me a tour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I can't do it. You know, and I said, and this time, you know, I'm thinking of my daughter and what she said, and I'm like, man, this is the Banda Jerez, you know?
Yeah.
And I said, I can't do it. You know, I turned it down. And I said, well, if you're ever in Chicago, you have my number. You know, call me up. I'll help you out.
Yeah.
So during that conversation, Raul said that, you know, it was the first time that he has ever stood next to somebody that mixed the Duranguense band, that he didn't have to tell what to do, you know, how it's supposed to sound.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I said, well, my first love was music and tamborazo and you know, banda. So I know what it's supposed to sound like.
Yeah.
To me, you know, I tuned it to my liking, the way I like to hear it.
Right.
And I guess it was the right thing to do in his ears. You know, I had no experience mixing a banda, but I knew what I needed to do to get the sound that I wanted to get out of the speakers. So yeah, every time they came to Chicago, they would call me.
Yeah.
So I'd handle their local shows. You know, so that was awesome. I did that for a while. You know, and then joined the police department.
Yeah.
And then it turned from not only mixing, but bodyguarding this guy because, you know, he was a loudmouth too. And he got kidnapped or something in Mexico. I forget.
Really?
Yeah. So then in recent years, it turned to they don't want me on the board anymore. They just want me stuck to him. You know, it was a hired gun basically just to make sure that, you know, nobody comes up to him that's not supposed to. Right. He was on guard all the time now.
Really?
Very paranoid, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't after you get, you know, kidnapped and you know, held for ransom? I think anybody would be traumatized by that. But he had to work.
Right.
You know, he had to go earn his money. That's all he knows how to do is music. You know, so. But yeah, those were interesting years, man.
Wow, bro. Hey, bro. So we went way over time usually than we do, but it's cool. But so let me ask you some questions before we finish up for today. First, what did you want to be when you grew up? Like when you were little, what did you want to be? Like I know the answer already.
You know the answer.
I know the answer already, but tell everybody.
I wanted to be the police.
You want to be a cop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got there. It wasn't easy.
Right.
You know, we live in a world where it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
And I got really lucky.
Right.
I got lucky that actually I don't know exactly what happened. I felt like I was just one of those because I got hired by Cook County first, and there was some Shankman decree or something like that was out there.
Yeah.
Which made sure that there was no patronage hiring. And I slipped through the cracks on that. Somehow. Right. And I ended up getting hired. I had great bosses there. You know, I had this lieutenant that just, you know, believed in helping people and making sure that you know, I was doing everything that I needed to do to be the best. You know.
Yeah.
I always pushed the envelope.
Right.
And he was okay with that. You know, he liked the fact that I tested the waters all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm grateful for that. Then, you know, from there, I just kept moving from department to department. Right. But loving what I did, you know.
Yeah. That's awesome. Because honestly, bro, like you're the first guy that I've had on that. Well, no, you're not the first guy that's like done what they want to do as a little kid. But I think like everybody discovers like what they want to do when they're like while they're growing up. But I think ever since I've known you, that's what you wanted to be, and you did accomplish it. So yeah, that's really cool.
It was a long road, you know.
Yeah.
And again, it's when people try to knock you over and tell you no, you just got to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, I had so many hurdles that I had to go over.
Right.
You know, even in you know, throughout your career, you know, in Chicago, I was CPD for a while, and out there it's politics, you know, it's for promotions, you know.
Yeah.
In other departments, it's who you know, and I'm not gonna lie,
right.
It worked out for me sometimes, and it didn't others, you know.
Right.
But you know, it's a learning experience. Mm-hmm. You know, nothing's perfect. It isn't. But, you know, it came time in my life that I said, you know what, I have to become, you know, the who you know.
Right.
You know, because no one's going to give you anything. You know,
Correct.
You got to go out there and get it. And you know, if you wait for people to hand you stuff, you're just not going to get anywhere.
Yeah. Other question, bro. What would you sitting here today, what advice would you give little Jesse getting in trouble in school?
You know, I've thought about that. Like, if I were to go back, you know, to, you know, in a way you want to say to change things, but then I look and say, I don't want to change anything because all the stupid shit that I did, there was something I learned from it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's what, like, even talking to my daughter, you know, my daughter, I tell her, you know, that I'm telling you from experience. And us growing up, and I know you can relate to this, we always thought our parents were, you know, they didn't know what was going on. They're old timers and blah, blah. But it's a revolving, you know, it's a
cycle.
It's a cycle, man.
Yeah.
You know, they just had different haircuts when this stuff was happening to them.
Right.
You know, and they're trying to steer us in the right direction.
Right.
And I think that, you know, I'm a little closer to my daughter in a sense because I had her really young.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the fact that she saw my struggles, all the times that I got fired.
Yeah.
You know, and this latest time, you know, the latest time that I got fired, you know, she wasn't worried.
Yeah.
And I was, for me, that was like a win, you know.
Right.
Because she wasn't worried because she saw that I wasn't worried.
Right.
You know, because we've been there many times. And it's all, you know, again, just in the departments that I've been, it's all been politics. I've been shot down in politics, and there's nothing you could do about that. You know,
right.
Sometimes people have more power than you.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. But I'm not going to sit there and cry about it.
Yeah.
You know, I got a mouth to feed and a mortgage to pay. So
right.
Get on to the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the first couple times she was, you know, she was a little on edge.
Yeah.
You know, and worried, and she'd go to my mom, talk to my mom, and my mom would get worried and stuff. But
yeah.
Now, you know, they see that I'm not gonna sit there.
You shake it off.
Yeah, just shake it off and move on to the next thing. I mean, like right now, this business is going well,
mm-hmm.
and we plan this year to expand.
Mm-hmm.
Not only here in Chicago, but you know, we have customers in New Orleans. I'm going to New Orleans on Wednesday to see a customer, Jeff Turner.
Okay.
Remember that name. Now he's out in New Orleans, and you know he opened his doors out there to us.
Yeah.
We have customers in Miami, California. You know, part in the Dominican Republic. But we want to really expand, and I think this year I'll probably put a website up and do something. And,
yeah.
What I want to do is build something that I can leave for my daughter, you know,
right.
and her kids, and you know. When she has kids, not yet, but
yeah,
yeah. I want to leave them something because you know we're not here forever,
right?
You know? And I mean, look at Kobe.
Yeah,
you know, just unfortunate situation, and 41 years old, man.
Yeah,
we're not too far from that.
Yeah,
and for something to happen like that, and I mean, good thing is that his family's set,
mm-hmm.
you know, but with us, it's like, you know, we're gone. There's gonna be a struggle.
Yeah,
and I can't have that.
Life insurance, bro. Life insurance.
Yeah, well,
I preach it more and more out. The older I get, the more I preach it.
You know what? And just like I had mentioned before, my father was that person that, you know, always looked ahead.
Yeah.
And he preached that for so many years. Life insurance, life insurance, life insurance.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't have life insurance, you got to do it. You got to do it because, I mean, Kobe's life insurance was his businesses that he has, and
but even then, I guarantee you, bro, that he had he had a big ass policy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like he had it.
It's a no brainer.
You know? Yeah, because even then, like, and that's the thing, like, not to get off subject, but yeah, you have a lot of people do that. The more people I meet, especially people that are you know that are successful or that are self-reliant, you know what I mean, that have money. Dude, they still have a life insurance. They're like, dude, like, why wouldn't I have a life insurance? It's extra money you're gonna leave to your family.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you know, but it's that stubbornness.
I think, you know what? I don't think it's stubborn. I think it's people just don't want to think about them dying. I think that's what it is. I think people think that it's a bad omen that if you get it, you're gonna die, but you're gonna die anyways.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
It's taxes and death. That's all you're guaranteed.
And there was this one podcaster that we call him podcasters, a YouTuber or whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
He always says that we're born with cancer.
Yeah.
We're gonna die. We're all gonna die at some point in our life. You know, we're not immortal.
Yeah.
So you have to live as if you're gonna die tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, and not meaning go and do crazy stuff, but you know, follow your dreams, follow your heart. And I tell that to people all the time. I said, you know, and I ask people, so what did you want to do when you were, you know, growing up?
Yeah.
What did you want to be? Oh, I want to do this. Well, why don't you do it?
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that people chase the money. Everybody chases the money.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll tell you, I've made lots of money in my day. Lots of money. My highest paying job, I was 26 at the time, you know, for my age. I was making 76 grand a year, living at home with my parents.
Yeah.
Okay. I was unhappy as hell, but I had all this money.
Yeah. Still
unhappy, you know, because I was working for someone else who was, you know, enjoying the millionaire life.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do it. Right. I actually went to Jeff Turner and I told Jeff, I said, you know, I'm done, man. I'm going to join the police department. And, you know, Jeff wasn't happy about it, but, you know, at the same time, he was supportive. He said, you know, do what you want to do.
Right.
You know, he was supportive about it. But, you know, it's about chasing the money, man. That's where everybody makes their mistakes.
Right.
You know, do what makes you happy. If you want to go and work at the aquarium and make, you know, $16 an hour and that makes you happy, do it.
Yeah.
You know, don't worry about what everybody else says.
Right.
You know, when I was the roadie with Atardecer, I didn't care. You know, I was that was like a bucket list thing for me, you know, hanging out with famous people, man. I got to see Los Temerarios live and, you know, backstage, Los Tigres del Norte, you name it. All the bands that we grew up listening to. Yeah. I got to meet them, you know. Brindis offered me a job. Yeah. I had to turn that down, you know, but it made me happy. I didn't care. But then at the end of the day, it was my daughter too, you know. That's why I stopped. But you know, and I told my daughter, I said, once she leaves home and starts,
you're gonna go back on
life, I'll go back on the road. Yeah, man, you know, I'll go back on the road and you know,
dude, you gotta take me with you, bro. I'll go. Yeah, I'll be your roadie.
You gotta carry some stuff.
I got you, bro.
But yeah, I mean, it's you know, again, it's about being happy and following your dreams and stay on track, man. Stay on track. You know, there's gonna be days we're all gonna be down. You know, everybody has their bad days, but at the end of the day, it's about you. You know, the people that want to talk about you and talk about you behind your back and all that, they don't pay your bills. Right. You pay your bills. Yeah. Right. So it doesn't matter what, you know, if you want to live in an apartment with 3 cats and have your dream job, go for it. Yeah. You know, I'm not gonna judge you because, you know, I'm all for being happy. You're the one that's got to wake up in the morning and go to work. I don't wake up for you. Yeah. You know, and if you wake up every morning wanting to go to work, you're doing something right. Right.
Yeah. Bro, on that note, salud. Thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll have to go to a baile soon, bro. So you can fucking
yeah. I'm looking into that, trying to see where I want to go. All right. You know, but we'll do it for sure.
All right, brother. Thank you, bro.
It's been awesome.